Hey friends, I hope you're doing well. I want to talk about the best direct box for acoustic guitars. And I think this is for my needs. I think this is the one for me. It's like a Baggs pair of DI. This is not sponsored. They didn't pay me any money. I bought this probably 20 years ago. Used the same one. It's a workhorse, but it is 10 degrees here in East Nashville, and I am not dressed for it, so I'm going to go inside. This is a Baggs pair of DI that I bought 20 years ago, and I've been using ever since. This is not a commercial. Nobody paid me. I've never met anybody from Baggs or whatever. But just a little background. I play solo acoustic, like me and an acoustic guitar, standing on stage telling stories and finger picking and strumming and stuff like that. And I play probably 100 gigs a year for most of the 20 years that since I bought this thing. And every night when I show up, it's a different venue, throughout the year, be different venues, festivals, small folk clubs, rock clubs, everything in between, and a different sound person. And a lot of times I've never met that sound person. And so that's kind of the reality of the day-to-day for me. I play a D28 through this, and I knew that I didn't dig the sound as I had a couple different direct boxes. And I was thinking, I need to really dial this in. And anytime that you put an acoustic guitar through a direct box, if you're not miking it or whatever, you're already compromising. So everything's a compromise from that point on, I believe. And so you're just trying to get the least compromise that you can. I did one tour over in Europe of folk clubs, listening room audiences, and probably 15 or 20 gigs, I forget which. And I decided I'm just going to play into the microphone, man, to hell with all of this. And every single night when I showed up, or every day for the sound check, it was a real pain in the butt for the sound person, and sometimes they were very great about it. But it took a long time to dial it in because most people aren't used to dealing with that. There's not a lot of people who tour just playing into microphones solo acoustic. And if they do, they're in a bluegrass band and they're playing certain kind of gigs where everybody is used to dealing with that. And it was just a big pain in the ass. And by the end of that tour, I was like, man, this is it. If they're not understanding on this tour, it's going to be really bad, trying to do this other places. If I played big theaters and had my own people, it would be no big deal at all. But that wasn't my walk in life. And so I was like, all right, I got to get a direct box that works for me. And I'd see a lot of people playing solo acoustic, and sometimes they sounded great. I thought, man, this really sounds good. And when I thought it sounded good, I would walk up and see what they were going through or strike up a conversation. These were touring artists. You probably know the names of, and I would just ask. And if there were 10 of them that I thought sounded really good, I bet 7 or 8 of them was playing through one of these, just straight through it. And after, I don't know if those numbers are exact, but it was right around there. It was obvious to me, okay, buy one of those. So I bought it. It's kind of a tank. It's built, I still have the box that I carry it around in or whatever, but it's built really rugged for the most part. A complaint I have is these screws on the back come out. They just work their way out and you lose them. So I end up going to hardware stores like once a year and buying some replacement screws because they come out, they hold the thing together. That's a drag. Do something about that, Baggs. Put some lock washers or something in there. When I would show up to sound checks, probably for the first year, I would ask the sound people, what do you think this needs? I would just set everything flat. And what do you think of it? And most of the time they were telling me to take mids out. So what I started doing is I started setting everything completely flat on here, and I pulled all of the mids out. And when I starting sound check like that, the sound people were like, this just sounds great. the way it is. Leave it the way it is. And that's what I started doing. There was a certain, when you have sound people, sometimes you realize some of them really do know what they're doing. And I would try to, well, tell me, you won't hurt my feelings. Tell me some things about, how it sounds or whatever. And they were very, very helpful. And it really just came down to, let's just take the mids out and they can do everything else at the board. And I play light, which is really good if you're playing through a direct box and through the PA, because, and I should say I have that D28 has a K&K Pure Western pickup in it, which pairs really well with this. So I think that's a big part of it, is that guitar, that pickup, and this direct box going into a PA is a good combination that has simply worked for me. When I try to change one piece of that, like a different guitar, it doesn't sound that great. And like if I try to I have a Gibson Country and Western that I've played through this, and I have to dial it in completely different, and it's not something that's worked out. So the D28 with the K&K Pure Western pickup and this pair of DI has been a really, really good match. I want to throw this in here just so you know about me. I show up to the gig. My gig is I stand there on stage, just me. I play a song. I'll tell a story. When the applause from the song ends, I start telling a story right then, and then like the laugh line at the end of the story, when it dies down, I start playing the next song. I want everything to be, you're trying to build momentum. And I try really, really hard to be dynamic on stage. I'll do the finger picking stuff, and I don't play really super hard, but a couple times a night, so that when I get on it, it means something. I want to be way down here in the dynamic range and make a living down here. And then when I hit something to emphasize it, it means something and people feel it. That's everything, is to get people to feel what you're feeling. And when you're just one person on stage with an acoustic guitar, it takes a lot to make that, that 90 minutes or whatever go somewhere. And so I need everything to work. I need it to just go ahead, never, I don't need little problems of tweaking things and all of that. I need something I can set and leave and work, because I have a lot to deal with. I don't have, a guitar player that's going to start playing a solo and, band that can jam out while I go fix something. It's just me. And those people paid money to experience something, and I need to bring that to them. That's what I'm there for. I want to share something real with them, and I don't need a bunch of gear to get in the way. So I used a tuner in front of this, like one of the Boss Stomp Box tuners, for a while. And like for the first 5 or 6 years I used this, there was always this weird thing in the high end that bothered me that I would hear. And I'm like, what is that? There was a thinness to the high end that really bothered me. And one day I just realized, when I didn't have that tuner plugged in, I didn't hear it. And I started thinking, am I crazy? Am I hearing this or whatever? But I just stopped using a tuner on stage, and I just used a guitar that stays in tune. And so I stopped touring with a tuner. I would tune backstage, go out on stage and play the show. And I later found out that those Boss tuners have a buffer in case you're running a lot of pedals, with a lot of cable. The buffer helps the signal make it through all right. And it's fine for electric guitar and such. You don't really hear it, but on the acoustic guitar, I could hear it. So I just stopped using that altogether. And I wish that Bags just simply had a kill switch on here, something I could step on and it shuts it off, just an on-off switch. It would be so damn helpful. I wish that there would be a builder out there, a pedal builder, watching this, who would listen to some of this and maybe copy whatever's going on in the circuit, because that sounds really good, and take out all of these damn knobs that I never use for anything. These knobs are probably useful to some people, where if you have some frequency that starts to feed back, you can dial it out. I don't have problems with that feeding back. And on the rare occasion that I do, usually the sound person can deal with it much better than this. But if I try to deal with it on this, when you take that frequency out, it just sounds like dog crap. You know, you need all of those. When I would try to dial those things out, it just sounded terrible. And I think it's, for my needs, it's pretty useless. So I'd like to get rid of all of these. Sometimes these knobs will get turned and what's going on? And then you realize, oh, okay, these are messed up. You got to put them back to where they're pretty much dead center. So if someone would build something as rugged with the same circuit with a kill switch that you can step on, I know that they have updated this, and there's two versions. There's one with a tuner and one with I believe one of those has a different circuit. People tell me that they don't like the way it sounds. They're more expensive. And when I've heard people using them, I didn't think they sounded that great, but these old things are just built like a tank and rugged. So if they had the kill switch, got rid of most of these knobs, put a basic EQ in there. This is a 3-band. That's all I would need, is to pull out those mids and leave everything else, and put some better screws that actually stay in here. I think that would be a huge thing. I always tell the sound person that I need phantom power, and it works great. It has a battery in it that just in case the rare occasion the sound person doesn't have phantom power, I'll put a new 9-volt battery in it before I go on tour. But that's mostly my opinions of that. And I've had so many compliments from sound people. And when I sound check, it takes me, I'm kind of proud of my short sound checks. I can get my guitar out of the case and go up on stage to sound check, and 10 minutes later, I'm done. You know, I'm going off into the green room. If it takes longer than that, there's usually a problem at the venue. But I really like simplified situations. I believe that there's fail points. There's a certain amount of fail points in any show of when this can break down and everything goes wrong. The more of those points that I can limit, the better. Like if I had a tuner there, then I got a couple extra cables that might fail. I got that tuner that might fail or do this. If I had a pedal board, there's even more of those opportunities. And like I said, I'm the only person on stage. I'm touring by myself. There's 100 people who paid money to see me that might never see me again. I might be somewhere in Switzerland. It's the only time they'll ever get a chance to see me. I want that to be as good as it can possibly be. I want to share something real and not let a bunch of gear get in the way. You know, the gear is there to serve the show. It's not the show. You know, it's not the experience. So anyhow, like I said, it's not a commercial. If this doesn't work for you, there's people that I know that are way better guitar players than me, way better, who use completely different things. And they're right for doing so because they're using what's right for them. But if you do the solo, acoustic, storyteller, traveling folk singer thing, maybe this is right for you, but that's what I use. I'm of the opinion that, you know, you never want to record just directly out from your guitar, you know, and through a direct box or something. It's just not a good sound, and I'm dead set against it. Like if I go to a radio appearance or something, I don't want to do that. Just put a microphone on it, or if I'm in a recording studio. Having said that, I ended up in a situation a couple of years ago where I recorded some stuff with a band, and we ended up having to use the line out from the guitar. And I remember me and my buddy Tom Utes were mixing it, and we're listening. I'm like, is that directly out from the guitar? And he's like, yeah. He's like, that sounds better than it should, doesn't it? I'm like, yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a link of video up right here of that recording, and you can hear that. And maybe that's as close as you get to, you know, it's not perfect, but it's coming through the YouTube compression and all of that crap. So it'll give you a little idea. But watch this right here, and I'll see you somewhere down the road. Much love to you.